Namaskar and welcome to StudyIQ. I am your friend Rahul Saigamkar. The agenda for today's discussion is connected to Indian polity, where we are going to discuss about judiciary and reforms connected with it. The topic for today's discussion is All India Judicial Service. Now you have a query in your mind. So why are we discussing about AIJS all of a sudden? Because recently the President of India, Draupadi Murmu, has supported an All India test to recruit judges across the country. A statement on All India Judicial Service by the head of the state has brought back this topic at the center of discussion again. In this video lecture, we will analyze the topic of All India Judicial Service comprehensively. It's a very important topic from UPSC Civil Services exam perspective, especially for mains. A potential question can be expected. To get to know all the information about AIJS, stay with me till the very end. All right, let's begin. But before that, there is a small notice to all the UPSC Civil Services aspirants. StudyIQ's P2I program, Prelims to Interview Initiative. It is the most comprehensive program where we will be with you for prelims, for mains, for interview, all the three stages. The admission for our batches in November are closing out at the end of the month. 30th November is the last day to enroll yourself. The classes have already begun. Orientation session is over. A couple of classes are over. At 8 a.m. freshly in the morning, you can attend the classes. Join this journey for UPSC Civil Services preparations to fulfill the dream of becoming IAS, IPS. Just visit our website, studyiq.com. You'll get all the details. Whenever you check out, use the code RAHULLIVE to get maximum discount. Enroll now. I'll see you directly in the class. All right? Right. Let's begin our topic of All India Judicial Service. As I told you, why we are discussing this? Because recently, President of India, Draupadi Murmu, bats for All India Judicial Service exam for selection of judges across the country. Now, that is why this topic is again at the center of discourse. First things first, sir, what is this All India Judicial Service? Is it already active? The answer is no, it's not active. The discussion, debate, deliberation for All India Judicial Service is going on for decades now. For the first time, this idea was mooted by the Law Commission of India way back in 1958. Now, since then, since 1958, multiple committees, commissions have recommended bringing All India Judicial Service. Many times, central government has also stated that they are pondering over All India Judicial Services. In fact, the Indira Gandhi government, during the times of emergency, they had pushed this idea of All India Judicial Service, and they made the entire procedure of creating All India Judicial Service a very, very simple procedure. Under the 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act, Article 312 was amended, making the process of creation of judicial service, All India Judicial Service, a very simple process. Also, the topic of administration of justice, you do understand, under the same amendment, the administration of justice, which was a state subject largely, it was brought into the concurrent list, especially for lower courts. Now, you do understand this discussion is only for lower courts. We are not talking about Supreme Court or High Court, because their appointment, it happens through the collegium system. That is an entirely different issue. The collegium system evolved through 3 judges case that we all know. But right now we are discussing about the appointment of judges at lower level, that is district judges. Now, under Article 302, the government at that time, the Indira Gandhi government, they suggested that All India Judicial Service can be brought for only the post of district judges, no judges below that level. Clear? Now, question comes up still, sir, you have not answered what is this All India Judicial Service. I want to know it. You told it is not there active, it has to be brought. Yes, but what will be All India Judicial Service? Now, to understand that, let me ask you a question. How are IAS, IPS recruited? To the UPSC, Union Public Service Commission. An exam is created annually. There are 3 stages: preliminary examination, mains examination, interview, and then they're selected. That means the recruitment happens through a central agency, and then a cadre is allocated to them to work at the state level. Now, imagine a similar kind of a thing happening, that a central recruiting agency is recruiting the judges. So, All India Judicial Service would be very similar in terms of recruitment and working, very similar to IAS, IPS, where the recruitment happens through a centralized agency and a cadre is allocated to them to work at state levels, that is at different districts in different states. Clear? A very similar kind of an idea. Now, you are thinking, sir, if this is the procedure that may be created, how are the judges at the lower level, or how are the judges to district courts and subordinate courts appointed right now? Now, right now, the procedure is under 233, Article 233 and 234, which simply says that the appointment of judges at district judges and the subordinate courts, it is with the governor of the respective state. When I say governor, it is with the state governments basically. But the governor has to consult the respective high courts. So right now, the appointment to district judges and the subordinate courts, it happens through governor in consultation with the respective high courts. I would say the power is with state governments and the respective high courts for the appointment. But the idea which is mooted here is to create an all India service similar to IAS, IPS and IFS. Now please note, I cannot give you what would be the exact nature. I am simply giving you an idea of what would be all India judicial service through an analogy, because no government, as I told you, the discussion is going on since 1958, but till now, no government has given any details regarding what would be that all India judicial service. But imagine, if at all it is created, sir, how would it be created? As I told you, the procedure is rather easy to create all India judicial service. It would not need, first of all, it would not need any constitutional amendment. Very important pointer from MCQ perspective. As I told you, the Indira Gandhi government, through the 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act, they amended Article 312, in which specifically creation of all India services is provided, including all India judicial service. And it has been suggested that whenever it is created, please read this, the all India judicial service referred to in clause 1 shall not include any post inferior to that of district judge. But right now, this Article 312, it says that no judge inferior to the district judge can be appointed through all India judicial service as and when it comes. And please remember, any law which is brought to create all India judicial service, it shall not be considered as amendment to Constitution of India under Article 368. So if you ask me, sir, what is the procedure? The procedure is fairly simple, very, very simple. Under Article 312, what happens? Rajya Sabha, remember, only Rajya Sabha, this is a special power of Rajya Sabha, only Rajya Sabha, by passing a resolution by special majority mentioned in Article 312, that is, by a resolution supported by not less than 2/3 of the members present and voting, they will give the power to Parliament. Once this resolution is passed, the Parliament now gains the power to create all India judicial service. How? Through a very simple law. The Parliament may by law, through a simple majority, through law itself, they can amend Article 233 and 234, because these are the provisions in Constitution which deal with appointment of district judges, and an act can be brought. In fact, an act is already there which is existing. Please note, for creation of all India judicial service, as and when it is done, a constitutional amendment would not be required. Now, as I told you, sir, has it been done before, or a similar kind of a process, has it been done before? Absolutely yes. Now, this is the act, the All India Services Act, which was passed in 1951 itself. Now, you do understand, in 1951, there were only two All India services. Which were they? The Indian Police Service and the Indian Administrative Service. In 1951, only IAS and IPS were the All India services. However, power has also been given to the central government, that is the Parliament, to create all India judicial services and include in the list. There is a list also: Indian Service for Engineers, Medical Service, Health Service, Judicial Service, etc. But only one All India Service has been created since that time, and that is the Indian Forest Service. It came in 1966. So as of now, there are only 3 All India services. There is IAS, there is IPS, and there is Indian Forest Service. Please remember, not Foreign Service, Indian Forest Service. There is a big misconception among people that the Foreign Service, Indian Foreign Service, is an All India Service. No. All India Service means recruitment happens from a central agency, training happens from the central agency, and they are allocated a cadre through which they will be serving in the state. Clear? So currently there is IAS, there is IPS, plus now Indian Forest Service. Now, as and when the judicial service would be created, similarly through this act, I can create very simply. So now you understand. So the process is very, very simple. But will it be really easy? I would say the procedural aspect would be relatively easier, but we need to discuss the other angles as well, especially the political angle. will it be really easy to bring it? Why we are discussing this? Because yes, there are many people who have supported. For instance, the Law Commission had supported in 1958. In fact, if you look at the Law Commission 1958 report, it suggests that All India Judicial Service should be created for appointment of district judges as well as the junior judges. But Article 312, it basically does not allow us to appoint junior judges, only district judges, right? So it was reiterated again by the Law Commission of India in 1986. The Supreme Court of India has also supported the idea of creating All India Judicial Service in 1993. The National Judicial Pay Commission, which was set up under the chairmanship of Justice Shetty, it had also supported in 1996 the creation of All India Judicial Service. And the government has been supporting it largely. Multiple times, the government ministers, head of the states, I wouldn't say head of the states, many prime ministers have also spoken about this. But the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Personnel and the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Law and Justice, both of them, they have supported that. We are ready to create All India Judicial Service. But on one side, we see supporters, some institutions. On the other side, there are others who have said no as well. The National Commission to Review the Working of the Constitution in 2002, under the chairmanship of Justice Venkatachalaya, they said no to All India Judicial Service. Many state governments and high courts, they oppose the creation of All India Judicial Service. If you ask me, state governments and high courts, predominantly I can give you example of Gujarat, West Bengal, Tamil Nadu, some southern Indian states. Yes, they oppose the creation of All India Judicial Service. Now, question comes up, sir, why? Why oppose? We'll talk about the analysis, but first, let's talk about the supporters. Why they say, let us create All India Judicial Service. Now, whenever we talk about judiciary, we know there are certain problems with Indian judiciary. First one, we talk about shortage of judges. There is already vacancy of judges. Shortage of judges means the judge to population ratio in India is not really good when we compare ourselves with the developed countries. There is already vacancy in the judiciary. Now, add to it, pendency of the cases is a very, very big problem. But when for the first time, the idea was mooted by the Law Commission of India in 1958, for them, these were the two main reasons. First one, a better judge to population ratio. And the second one was better representation to marginalized sections. It's a very, very important point. Now, let's try to understand how by bringing All India Judicial Service, we can get rid of these problems. Now, when we look at these problems closely, let's look at India, what is happening. See, this is the latest. These are the latest numbers, I would say, from 2023 July. Over 5,000 posts are vacant in the lower judiciary according to Law Ministry. A question was raised by an MP in the parliament, and the answer came up that in India, there are total of 5,388 posts of judicial officers which are vacant. Now, I am not telling that all these judges are district judges. Even if I hold a conservative number of around 20% or 25% of judges, district judges, that would amount to about 1,500 judges post vacant. Huge vacancy. Now, add to that, already there is a delay in justice system in India. So this exacerbates the problem. If you look at the pendency of the cases in India, these are the current figures, and the number of cases, total number of cases, they are more than 4 crore. And these are in the lower judiciary, district and the taluk courts all over India. More than 1 crore civil cases, more than 3 crore criminal cases are pending in our country. Apart from that, when you look at the judge ratio, the current judge ratio, according to 2023 data, we have 21 judges per million. That means 21 judges for 10 lakh population. If you look at the same number with some developed countries, say for example USA or UK, their number is 50 plus. That means more than 50 judges per million population. That is why the justice system runs smoothly. Justice is served quickly. Justice is served in a just way. In India, these are the problems, and that is why people are disillusioned with the justice system in India. They say that once I enter the court, the whole life is gone. Not just one generation, but multiple generations' life is gone. All right. Now, apart from this, when you look at the representation levels, this is the data from 2022. All right. No ST, no SC, no OBC judges in some of the states in lower judiciary. If you look at the number, according to data given in the Lok Sabha in 2022, 10 states in India, 10 states and union territories, they had 0 ST judges. Many 12 states, I would to be precise, 12 states and union territories, they had 0 judges from the scheduled caste. 10 states and union territories, they had 0 OBC judges in their district and subordinate courts. The representation of women has also been quite abysmal. Now, when you look at the population of women, I would say 49%. Even if I go by 2011 census, 49% of population in India is women. So, what is the proportion of judges in judiciary? I'm talking only about the district and the subordinate courts. The track record even in high courts and Supreme Court is not very good, okay? But at the district level and subordinate level, some of the states are doing very bad. For example, Gujarat had less than 20% judges who are women, but an all India average is somewhere around 33 to 35%, which is fair enough, right? Again, this number has to increase. Please try to understand when I say this is much better than some of the states are below average. Around 30 to 35% representation to women is provided in district and subordinate courts in India, in different states. Some of the states are doing excellent work where the number of female judges is more than 50%. So, All India Judicial Service will rectify some of these issues for sure, especially with respect to representation to marginalized section, and the judge to population ratio can be enhanced. Pendency of cases, yes, when we talk about pendency of cases, it is not just in the hands of judge, because we need to revamp the entire criminal justice system in India, but to some extent this thing can be improved, and vacancies, the issue of vacancy can be resolved quickly, because we do understand through the state governments the vacancy or the number of vacancies have been consistently high. Now, apart from these issues, vacancy of judges, pendency, better representation, efficiency can increase, because as the number is increased, as the process is more streamlined, I might expect it to be more efficient. And finally, better career prospects even for the judges at the district level, because now they will be seeking, if I go at early age, if I clear the Indian Judicial Service examination at an early age, then probably by the end of my career, I might also become a Supreme Court judge, High Court judge, Supreme Court. There is a possibility with experience, right? So better career prospects, better pay as well, I would say. So on one side, we have many pros, but there are many cons, especially in terms of implementation. I would say there might be political repercussions. The biggest problem in implementation of All India Judicial Service is the federal challenge. Now, you do know that India is a cooperative federalism model in which center and states have to cooperate. Now, already states or many states have passed historical resolutions. Even now, many states, they talk about All India services in a very condescending way. In fact, some of the states, they advise abolition of All India services. And here we are talking about adding one more All India service. So there would be a federal challenge. Why? Because fundamentally there is a power transfer. Currently, the power of appointment of these judges at the lower level is with the state government. When I write state government, try to understand appointment happens through governor. State government and high court have the power. And right now, the transfer of power is happening to center, or shall happen to center whenever, as and when the AIJS comes up. So this is going to be a potential political challenge to bring different states on board. Yes, if the party in the center and the states are same, then probably it would be easier to be done, right? But again, when you look at India, we are still running through the coalition era. So bringing states on board would be a very, very tough task. The next issue would be, sir, only district judges? Yes, according to Article 312, only district judges, yes. But when we look at the Law Commission recommendation, they had suggested that we need to revamp even the lower judiciary. That means even at the subordinate court level. So it would be better to bring efficiency right from the grassroots level, or I would say grassroots level of the judiciary, not the people, grassroots level. Or I would say it would be much better if you follow a bottom-up approach to revamp recruitment at the subordinate level, district level, both. All right. So this is one of the issues which is currently a challenge. Another issue would be the language channel, and many experts do highlight this. Now, when I talk about language challenge, you do know that the language of the judiciary is predominantly English, right? In Supreme Court, English is there, but in many states, their vernacular language or regional language is also used. especially for court documents, correct? Now question comes up, when the recruitment happens from center, I recruit a person from Gujarat and I allocate a cadre, because whatever rank he gets, on the basis of that, on his preference, etc., I allocate him state of Tamil Nadu, I allocate him state of Andhra, I allocate him state of Kerala, or a person from Kerala, a person from Tamil Nadu, I allocate a state somewhere else. That is the biggest language barrier which many states and many high courts have highlighted. For instance, Chhattisgarh is against this, citing language challenge. Many northeastern states are against the idea of All India Judicial Service, mainly because there will be language barrier. Now you might argue with me saying that, sir, when we appoint the judges or when we recruit them, we will train them in language as well. We will train them in language as well. First of all, it is additional burden, additional time. Again, in terms of implementation, the more the clarity in legal terms, the more the clarity in the legal process, it is always better. And because of the language mismatch or miscommunication, problem might arise, especially during the working. This has been highlighted by many states. Apart from that, there is one more question of, should we give it to UPSC? I would say UPSC is already burdened, yes. Or can we create a separate National Judicial Service Commission? Now, if this has to be created, then again, question of independence of judiciary has to be looked into, because we want judiciary to be completely independent. Now, you must think that, sir, what kind of an argument is this? Right now, you're telling independence of judiciary is at stake, but currently the appointment happens through state government and high court. Is it completely independent? I would say flaws are there, problems are there, but whenever something is coming up connected to judiciary, independence of judiciary must be respected at most. So I have put across both the thoughts, supporting thoughts as well as opposing thoughts. Now question is, sir, how do I conclude, right? What should be a better way forward? Yes, there are many pros, there are many cons, but the question is, sir, will All India Judicial Service be a panacea to all the judicial problems? I wouldn't say all here, right? Because whenever we talk about judiciary, we need to talk in a more comprehensive way, talk about the complete criminal justice system. That means police reforms, judicial reforms, and the prison reforms, they have to come together along with the procedural reforms. Yes, but let's not go on that route. But will it be a panacea to some problems? Yes, for sure. Especially, I would say, the problems connected to vacancy, the problems with respect to representation of marginalized sections and improving efficiency, yes, to some extent. But again, any change, it must be brought by building consensus. It cannot be forced by the central government on the states. So the biggest challenge here would be to bring not just states on board. Remember, it's a problem where three parties are involved. There is center, yes, there is state, yes, and there is also judiciary which is involved, and all the three must be on the same page. And I would say a better suggestion for your answer writing would be, first step by the government should be to bring a white paper on All India Judicial Services. It would be a really, really great start at the parliamentary level itself. When a white paper is brought, we will understand the problem, we'll understand the standpoint of different parties, center, state, judiciary on this issue. Pros and cons can be weighed out in a more and more comprehensive way with utmost transparency. But as of now, till the All India Judicial Service discussion is going on, debate is going on, as and when it comes, we'll talk about that again. But in the meantime, what we need is a revamp of judicial infrastructure in different states. Now, when you dissect Indian states, we think that All India Judicial Service can be a panacea for judicial problems in all the states. No, different states have different problems. Some states have good judicial infrastructure, but some states, they lack judicial infrastructure. So in the meantime, we need to work on revamping, developing the judicial infrastructure across different states. Through that, we can improve efficiency and effectiveness in the meantime, till we talk about, or till we get the All India Judicial Service. All right, with that note, let me conclude the discussion. I hope it was a fruitful session for you. I hope you have gotten a good insight, a good idea into the topic of All India Judicial Service. As and when there is some traction on this, we'll discuss again. We'll keep a track of what the government or what are the developments are around. All right. Thank you for watching this video. Jai Hind.